Hey fam, it's me Aaron for a comic spotlight. This time I'm talking about something that I'm really into, Valiant, the Valiant reboot and relaunch. And it started in the summer and I'm really digging it. And full disclosure, I was not a Valiant fan back in the 90s. I knew they existed, I knew they were doing good stuff, I knew it had critical acclaim, I liked some of the creators, but I was a Vertigo guy, Vertigo, and affinity to DC Universe. I was a Marvel guy in the 80s, but I just never gave Valiant really the time of the day back in the day, but this reboot has really got me going, especially in juxtaposition to the DC New 52 reboot. And I'm not being unduly harsh on that. You can't launch 52 books without some being great and some not being great. But I'm going to talk about the difference between the reboot and the relaunch and how they're two different types of things. The reboot is you're taking these characters and you're rebooting them to make them relevant to a modern audience. And where DC aesthetically did that with a lot of the costuming, and you can like or dislike some of the costuming and think it's more modern not to wear your underwear on the outside, that's all cool. And you can take away all their backstory and all the convoluted continuity and all this stuff tied to older times, and I guess that's fine too in some ways. I mean, in some ways everyone has a history, and if you don't have a history, you're not compelling. You know, if I don't tell people that are interested in investing time in me, my backstory, they're going to think I'm pretty two-dimensional, or one-dimensional even. But, you know, I think that the books that DC did that really tie into what's modern in the zeitgeist, like Animal Man and Swamp Thing tying into Evolve or Die and environmental stuff and the rot and decay and how things just entropy seems to be spinning out of control lately, that those books are really rocking. And when you look at the Valiant books, every book ties into this zeitgeist of this unease of the modern time. Like with EXO, yes, it's a space opera. Yes, it's all, you know, out of place, out of time guy, but it's also the Vine, this secret group that have been manipulating things in our culture, and, you know, maybe they're going to come and destroy us. That's a weirdness. With Archer and Armstrong, you have the straight up secret sects, you have the secret religious sects, the Illuminati, you have the one percenters, you have all that. And these books, they just kind of get what's going on now. With Harbinger, you have like stuff going on in the Middle East, you have stuff going on with oil prices, because there's this dude that has all these crazy mental powers that is running the world secretly. And don't we all feel like, regardless of who's president, regardless of what the powers and principalities are, there's something secretly going behind the scenes against all of us. And that's cool. And I feel that vibe through this whole Valiant shared universe. And the other thing they did that I don't feel DC did all the way through, because I think a lot of their editors were kind of had, you know, too many cooks in the kitchen, is they picked the writers they wanted for these books, for these types of genres, these corners of the universe, for their past work, and let them write. All publishers let the artist draw. They pick an artist, they like their style, and they say, draw your heart out, draw your voice, your passion. But sometimes these writers, I seem to get the feel that when you read their creator-owned stuff and you just feel their voice singing to you on every page, and then you read some of their work-for-hire stuff like in the New 52 or even, you know, maybe Marvel, it's not the same. Whereas EXO Manowar, I'm sure he was picked because of surrogates, and Venditti rings true. And the same goes for Harbinger. I feel like I'm reading the same guy that wrote The Unknown Soldier for Vertigo, and that's pretty awesome. So that's the reboot stuff. To reboot is to modernize it with what's going on, what taps into the cultural phenomenons of today, the zeitgeist, the idea space that we all live in. Not just changing the underwear on the outside, not just changing the convoluted backstory. So that's the reboot. The relaunch part is where these guys really killed it. The dude, I'm not even going to mention his name because he obviously has no arrogance. The dude that owns Valiant, he's not the guy that owns CrossGen that wanted to be out front. He's not trying to run the show. He bought these characters, and he's letting these guys do their work. The creators work and the marketing team work. Hunter Gordonson is kicking ass on marketing it, how they've launched this, how they're putting out the first volumes all for $10, how they're putting out dollar first issues during the month of Free Comic Book Day, and how they hired Adam Freeman, who is a friend. He is a great guy. I've looked up to him from afar and close, and he won the Eisner for Best Retailer back a few years ago for Brave New World, and he has been instrumental in making this a retailer, and by way of retailer, a fan-friendly launch of books, coming out slowly and all building, and the shared universe parts really organic and really feeling well. So that's my endorsement. All right, now I'm going to talk about the book specifically. Here's my favorite, Harbinger. I think this is mostly everyone's favorite. I know that even Venditti, who writes Exo Manowar, told me that he loves this book. It's on a whole nother level. It was in my top 12 of 2012. And basically, this book is kind of like, the guy's kind of like a messiah. He's kind of like Jesus. He's putting together a team of renegades. He's an outsider. He has these weird mental powers that's always been a problem for him. He's been in psychiatric wards and whatnot. And conversely, Harada, this mentalist that runs the world, he runs everything secretly. He has all the money, all the corporations, and he has the guys that the kids that he's teaching to unlock their minds that have the greatest potential in his mind. And he got Peter because Peter was going to be a problem anyway because of just how he was. And he is a flawed character. He did do something with this girl that he really liked, you know, when he was younger, and kind of forced her to like him in her mind, and that was very violating. But he's on the run from Harada, and he's going for these kids that were on the list that Harada had that could have these psychic abilities, but were the outcasts, the dregs, the lowest ones. And by and large, that's who Jesus, I'm talking about, Messiah, the Messiah complex that Peter has. He went after, you know, the tax collectors, the prostitutes, the lepers, whatever. And, you know, he does go after a stripper and frees her mind. He does lay hands on a cripple and now he can walk. I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. This stuff is in here and it's just so powerful and so awesome. And just the idea of this outsider kid going to change the world and upset these Pharisees, upset these people running things, it really taps into back when I was a stupid, you know, 18-year-old kid, punk rocker, you know, anarchist revolutionary, and thought that I was going to change the world with some protest and some piercings. But, you know, it is awesome. And the characterization is so dead on. Like, you have this one character, Faith, who is, you know, she's overweight, obviously, and she's so pop culture obsessed. And it's a little bit annoying to very annoying. I mean, it's kind of cool that she wants the costume and she wants to be a superhero, and that's bringing that into the Valiant Universe. But it's freaking annoying until you find out her origin, until you find out why she's like that. And it's such an emotional gut punch, just such a twist that just not twists the plot, but twists your emotions and how you see her and how you feel about her. It's just genius level characterization that Joshua is working on here. And this book is freaking amazing. And anyone that tries this $10 volume 1, I think will love it. Moving on to Bloodshot. I didn't think I would like this book. It's just like, you know, a super soldier, you know, Captain America, whatever. But it is all this stuff about, you know, the military-industrial complex, why we fight, what kind of cannon fodder people are. And with him regenerating, even some of that is really cool, where when he gets shot up and whatnot and can regenerate, he has to eat a cow at one point because he can't make muscle out of nothing. This isn't the fantasy world of like Wolverine where, you know, he can just grow stuff out of no protein to process it. Like matter can be changed, but it just isn't magically created. Like, did he pull it out of the meat dimension? Or, you know, is there some place that Galactus poops and that's where, you know, Wolverine gets his matter from to regrow? This literally has to eat a cow or, you know, eat protein in some ways. And the way that his mind is, that the military has put these things in his mind to say, this is your wife, this is your kid, this is your best friend captured by Al-Qaeda, all these fake memories and fake crap, because you can create a super soldier and you can make him invulnerable, and essentially what you're going to make is a weapon that you can't destroy. How great is that? He could turn on you. He could not do what you want. You control the mind, you control the heart and mind of the soldier, of the super soldier, you got him. And they keep switching up on him what his backstory is so that he is much, much more compelled to complete the mission. Archer and Armstrong, I love this book. This is the classic odd couple type of thing. You have the young kid straight edger that was homeschooled and brought up by some crazy Christian cult to, you know, save the world. And you have this old dude that, you know, he's basically been around since the beginning of time. He's eternal. Armstrong is, and his brother is the eternal warrior. And so you have this odd brother thing, you have this odd couple thing, and they have to save the world. They have to save there's these geomancers that protect the planet and the environment. And obviously, they haven't been doing a good job. And the one now is dead. And there's a new one, and she's pretty freaking cool. She's basically Ann Coulter. It's basically, what if Ann Coulter was chosen to be the protector of the planet and the environment? And I'm not making this up. This is in here, and it's fun, and the humor just bounces off of every page. Yes, it's heavy stuff. Yes, it's stuff about secret cults, but through that, just the characterization, the humor naturally comes off every page, and you will literally laugh out loud while you read this, but still be caught up in the adventure. Shadowman doesn't have a collection out yet. It's pretty cool. It's set in New Orleans, and we all know New Orleans is weird. My sister went to grad school there, and it's weird. There's something more voodoo there. It's like the membrane between like Earth and some other dimensions is thinner in New Orleans. I don't know how to explain it, but I've been there, and it's weird. I felt uneasy, and you know, it's just strange. And Shadowman explains all that for me, and I like it. I dig what Justin Jordan's doing here, and I like what they have planned, that this is all the mysticism of the Valiant Universe. Dr. Mirage is being relaunched in here as a Asian female, and it's going to get into all that Asian mysticism, and I'm digging this book. And finally, Manowar. This is their flagship title. This is the one where the marketing guys decided to have a little fun and sponsored the American bobsled team in the Olympics, and they made bobsledding uniforms like this. I'll have a picture of this. I'm not making this crap up. And, you know, that's cool, you know, because when you think about Valiant and you think about comics, I mean, if you advertised it to American sports people, like football people or whatever, they'd be like, well, this is comic book crap. But perhaps people that like the Olympics are more sophisticated sports fans and would enjoy these Valiant books and all their nuances. So, you know, great job, Hunter and Adam, for doing that with your marketing. But Rob Venditti is kicking ass on here. It's basically like a really, really, really good Green Lantern. And OMG, Rob Venditti is going to be writing Green Lantern starting in June because he's kicked so much ass in here. And if you were scratching your head saying, why is Rob Venditti, who is he? Why is he writing Green Lantern? That Surrogate movie wasn't that good. He didn't write the movie. He wrote the comic. But this is $10. Read this, and I think you'll agree with me. Essentially, it's this old Roman guy that was taken and by the Vine, which is kind of like the Guardians, and the Vine alien race were using them as slave labor. And he frees himself by tapping into this armor, and then he goes back to our time, and it's now present time. He was in Roman time, now it's the present time. So it's basically a mashup of Conan, Iron Man, and Captain America. You have the Conan in like this old barbarian type dude, this old warrior. You have Iron Man in the suit, duh, and then you have Captain America in the man out of time, like from the 40s. But instead, this dude's from like long, long, long time ago. And how he acclimates to society, and how some of the BS of our modern society, someone from, you know, old times would cut through that like with a sword and say, screw this, you know, I'm going to do what's right, and I'm going to fix these problems, and I don't care about your political correctness or all the lies and all the social masks you use. I'm going to, and if you deceive me, I'm going to kill you, because that's what I do. You know, I mean, you die by the sword. You live by the sword and die by the sword. And essentially this says, by the sword is the name of the volume. That's kind of serendipitous there. So those books are great. All the first volumes are $10. That is freaking amazing. And I suggest you go out and get Harbinger today. All right, now that I might have convinced you to start drinking the Valiant Kool-Aid, or the Valiant Bloodshot as it is, here's what's coming next. You got Harbinger Wars. And the cool thing, that was kind of like a Marco Rubio thing. The cool thing about Harbinger Wars is it's the Harbinger and Bloodshot mashing together organically, because this is a shared universe. And it's very organic, it's very cool, and it has to do with, you know, kids with powers, which is something in both books. And this is where these books are written sophisticatedly, like some of these creator-owned Image books that you like, but where Image lacks that these guys have is it's a shared universe. You have this shared universe where you can get extra payoff of things dovetailing together, where with creator-owned you don't get that. Next, we have Planet Death from Manowar, where the whole thing is going to be a huge, big deal kind of invasion onslaught of the Vine. But as far as I know, there's nothing else tying in. There's characters like Ninjak and characters tying in to the storyline, but it's just that one book. Then you have Zero Issues that these Zero Issues have rocked. Harbinger's the only one out so far, and it's the secret history of Harada. Awesome. Now, instead of being such a douchebag, you know, antagonist, you actually get in his, see what makes him tick. And some other Zero Issues are coming out, and for Free Comic Book Day and for May, the dollar debut are coming out. $1 debut issues where it's the first issues of all 5 books for just $1. And I'm sure I'm going to be giving, yes, I'll be giving them out for free here. And I think other stores should too, because it costs you 50 cents. It's like, I don't know, twice as much as a free comic book day comic costs. Give them out. And seriously, this is directly to fans. If you are one that's complaining about some DC books or some Marvel books you don't like, stop complaining about those. Stop buying them, stop reading them. Only read the ones you really love, and then read some of these instead. I think you'll be a much happier comic book fan. Thanks, bye-bye.